Hello everyone. I've gotten a lot of requests to do a tutorial about how to use my cliff tiles that come with the Medieval Town and Country resource pack. So today I'm going to show you how I use them. You're free to use them however you like. But I'll show you how to use them to get effects like how I made cliffs here in this picture. And what we're going to try to do today is we'll try to replicate this picture to the best of our ability. So I'll show you how to use these, make cliffs, and show you how to use them, how to blend different textures in to try to make everything look as seamless as possible. And I'll even show you how I ended up figuring out how to make this neat little chasm here in the middle of this picture. So this is what we'll try to reproduce. Whatever we come up with is going to be obviously a bit different, but this is the general idea that we're going for. So first thing we want to do is make some cliffs. Now I'll show you how I make cliffs for my own purposes. I think a lot of people tend to rely heavily on the RPG Maker editor, and that's fine, but you're never really going to get very strong results with it. It's designed purely to work on a 48 by 48 pixel grid. So if you want even like a minor adjustment, you're out of luck. I love parallax mapping. That gives you the most control, and it's really not as scary as I think a lot of people think that it is. So here I have the tiles from the Town and Country pack. I'm gonna take this cliff, and copy it, and then here I just have a blank canvas with a blank layer that I already set up, and I'm gonna paste it a couple of times because what I want to do is merge both of these into one slightly larger cliff. There we go. So obviously it looks a little wonky right now, but that's because we don't really have any of it blended. So what I'm going to use here is the clone tool, and the brush I'm going to use is the this one that has a very soft edge to it. And for the size, let's see, I think 100 would be good. Yeah, and then I want to pick this middle texture right here. And I just want to softly go over and remove the edges of the other cliffs. So look, you can obviously tell where it happened, so we're going to kind of go over it a little more. Just try to blend it in. There, get rid of some of that there. And maybe I don't want it curved quite so badly right here, so I'm going to just take this texture and we'll even that out a bit. There we go. Doesn't have to look perfect, just, just what we're working with right now. There we go. And now we have a larger cliff. What I like to do is save these larger cliff pieces, these large chunks, because that makes life 100 times easier as you keep building onto them to make even larger cliffs. So I'm gonna save this. Where do I have all my other cliffs? There we go. And here. We made 9. Alright, so we got that. Just to show you some other examples. I already made a bunch previously, and you can make any number of cliffs that you want, and I highly recommend that you make a whole bunch of them, because it really makes life a lot easier. So here's a big one that I made, and you know what? I want to add this new one that we made to it to make just a really, really large cliff. Because why not? And you know what? We'll throw this one in there too. Alright, we need to fit canvas layers because it obviously went a little too large. So now we need to kind of blend it in a bit, and so that'll all jive together nicely. As you can see, most of it actually works already. The only part that really needs to be fixed is right in this area. And what I'm going to do is, instead of using the clone tool, I'll use the eraser brush, again with the same brush with the really soft edges. And I'm going to use a size of 200. And I'm just going to very lightly erase some of this cliff to blend it in together. And I kind of like having this this darker edge here. I'm going to soften it a bit to make it look like it's not quite so steep, but it gives us a little bit of depth here. And I'm not really liking how this is looking, so I'm going to merge these down, and I'm going to use the clone tool here and kind of add some extra texture. There. Alright, there we go. And I'm going to export that as well as another pre-made cliff piece. And you can take these pre-made pieces and you can start merging all of those together, and before long you'll end up with a big mountain range, and that makes mapping larger areas way easier. And this method you can do with anything. It doesn't have to be cliffs. You can do it with trees. Make large clusters of trees and then use those large clusters to make a forest. And this is a technique that isn't unique to only my resources. You can do this with any resources, any graphical resource at all. And it's just a great way to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of trouble when mapping, especially larger maps. So we'll go ahead and close that out. So we have all these ready to go. That'll make life a little easier when we start on our map here. Now, this is going to be a fairly large map. I already started a blank canvas. It's 2048 by 1280 pixels. You can make your map any size that you want, of course. One thing that I'm going to need right away here is our center bridge, and that comes from the Town and Country pack. There you go. I always love using these diagonal pieces. They just, to me, they look really nice. But you can use any of the others. I know not everyone has their game set up to have diagonal movement, which is a shame because it really adds a whole new level of depth to your game. But feel free to use whatever bridges you like. Alright, now that I have that, I want basically cliffs on both sides with a nice big chasm in the middle. There we go. So, we'll start with this big one here. This will be our base, and we'll move things around as we make this map. I'll just throw it out a bunch of times. Doesn't have to be too specific right now. Just needs to cover the main areas. There's definitely far more elegant ways to do this. I'm just doing this because it's quick and easy, and isn't going to matter a whole lot. There we go. And I'll throw one more down to fill in that gap up here. Alright. And I want the bridge to be higher up, but looks like I missed something up here. Okay. Oh, I think because of I'm recording, my controls for GIMP aren't 100% working, so I have to use the main bar here. Let's see. This is layers. I believe it's stack. Yep, raise layer. There we go. Now, obviously, a lot of this bridge is not going to be seen. It's going to be covered up by the mountains here. And we also don't want the shadow. Well, I don't want the shadow. I'm also doing this very quickly. You can zoom in, you can take your time, and you'll end up getting much better results than you're going to get by doing it exactly the way I'm doing it right now. I'm doing this for the sake of expedience. Alright. Now I want to get rid of, I want to make all this cliff area nice and flat. So, actually I don't think I want the clone tool. Or do I? I don't know. You know what? I'm just going to copy a large chunk of this. Oops. Copy. And we'll put it on a new layer. So I just copied a big piece of texture here for the cliff. I'm going to use my paintbrush tool. I'm going to use the soft edge. Actually, no. You know what? I just made a boo-boo. That's not going to work. What I'm going to do instead is use the clone tool after all. But I'm going to use a bigger brush. There we go. And we'll just happily get rid of all these little pieces. Make this nice and flat. There we go. Again, don't need to be super thorough here. Don't need to be perfect. A lot of this is going to end up being covered up anyway. So next I want to start building up the edges of the cliffs. Basically the impassable areas of my map. And I like to start from kind of the top and work my way lower. So let's throw this, throw that pre-made piece in. Well, we'll put it up here. So you know what? We're going to move this down here a little bit. Move, oops. Merge those down so we can kind of move it all. There we go. There, we'll cover up that ugly spot with this. And we'll throw another one of them in there. There we go. Let's throw one of these guys and we'll put it on this side. And another one. There. Ultimately, we're going to have a path that kind of winds its way through here. Put some extra cliffs over here. All I'm really doing is just throwing in all the pre-made pieces that were already made. And if you make a bunch yourself, then that's fantastic. It just makes life a lot easier. I do want this one here, but I want to blend it into this cliff a little more. So we'll just, actually I think that looks a little like garbage, so let's not go too hog wild. Just the outer edge. Oh, you know what? I think I'll just do this again. The clone tool is really one of the best tools there are. And I'm going to merge all those down. Normally, I recommend not merging all of your layers because you'll want to keep working with them and fiddling with them. And it's a lot easier to make edits when your layers are not all merged down. Again, I'm just doing it for the sake of expedience, and in my mind, if I merge all the layers, that just forces me to just move forward and not obsess over minute details. So to me, it works out well. I also made a boo-boo here with the bridge, but you know what? We'll figure out a way to work around that. We'll just cover this up with some more cliffs. Like I said, it's not going to be exactly the same as the other picture, but it'll be good enough. And one thing you'll notice is, like the more you watch me do stuff, the more you'll realize that I make a lot of mistakes, and I always cover those mistakes up with things like extra cliffs. And the thing is, a lot of people do this. This is not like a well-guarded secret. If you make a mistake, just cover it up with something else. As Bob Ross would say, there are no mistakes, there are only happy little accidents. And that's what we got going on here. We got a lot of little happy accidents. And we're just going to kind of blend them all in together. And we'll see what we end up with. Alright. Now I'm going to start erasing the bottoms of this layer. You'll see why a little bit later on. This will help blend things in when we make our cliff effect. That gives it a lot of depth. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see, where are those? Okay. This is a little flat over here, so let's add just one more piece of cliff. Yeah, right there. Alright, so next I want, let's see. Let's add our dirt path here. We're not going to need that. We're going to need, I'll pull this from the Warfare resource pack. There's a, oops, no, it's not the resource pack that I want. It is the dungeons pack that I want. There we go. And I want this dirt. I'm a big fan of this dirt texture right here. I'm just going to copy that. Don't need that anymore. Make a new layer. Now I'm going to use the paintbrush. And I'm going to use the reset size tool so that I have the size automatically selected to the to what I have already copied and pasted. There we go. So obviously that's ugly as hell, and now we're going to shape it with our erase tool. There we go. I'm going to zoom in here so we can see the texture a bit better. Now you want to mostly just do this around the edges. If you notice, I rarely ever put the center of the brush right into the middle of the texture. I like to erase with just the fine feathered edge of the brush. Gives you a lot more control, and it just gives you some better results, I think. There we go. Blend that right in. Beautiful. Alright, that's good. Now, let's see. I have a million things open. Let's close some of those. Next I want, from the Town and Country pack, I want these rocks. I love these rocks. Now, I showed you how to use them a little bit in the other tutorial, but this is where they shine the most, I think, in these nice, big, rocky regions. So again, I'm going to use the paintbrush tool. The paintbrush is just the clipboard, which is the top left option, and the size, you just click on this button and it'll automatically set it to the size that you need. And now I'm just going to kind of go hog wild with these rocks all over, and we'll clean them up afterwards. Right now I just kind of want them everywhere. I like these rocks. Alright, so obviously we don't want them exactly like here, so we're going to take the paintbrush tool again. We'll go through and erase everything. It's okay to leave some of them a little bit, adds a little bit of texture. You know, like around the bottoms here. Not too bad. Yeah, erase some of these around the corners and the edges. We'll fix this up later too. There we go. Just keep erasing them. There. Not too bad. Now we got rocks kind of all over. Oop, we don't want them on the railing, so let's get rid of them there. There. Alright, now we have our rocks down. Alright. So some of this is going to get blended in when we add the extra layers. We can fix it up a little bit right now with a slightly smaller brush. There we go. Alright, next we'll start on making the lower levels of these cliffs. And what I did is I added a new layer that's below this main one. And we'll go back to this, and we're just going to start throwing some more of these in there, all over the place. Again, they don't need to be perfect. These are going to be mostly obfuscated by the time we're done. There we go. I'll just throw those together. And I merged all of them again. Once more, you don't have to do that. That's just me taking a shortcut here for speed. Now we want to do it again. Same thing. We'll add a bunch of these. Once more, really don't need to be perfect. They just have to be there. And we'll fix all of this stuff up again later. Alright. I think that's about as many layers as I used the first time around. Oop. One thing I don't want to do. Oh, never mind. Okay, we're good. Alright. So, we have now 3 layers. We have the topmost layer right here, the first layer of lower cliffs, and then our third layer of lower cliffs. And then we just have a white background. This white background, you can make whatever. I think I threw a parallax picture in from the Town and Country set. You can do whatever you want with it. You're basically, in the end, you're really not going to see very much of any of this down here. So what I might do, I think, is I'm just going to copy a chunk of this texture, random chunk, and I'm just going to fill in this background with a pattern fill. Because again, it ain't going to matter. And I'm going to make the opacity very low. Oh, actually no, never mind. We'll just leave it there. Above that layer, I'm going to use a color fill, and we're going to go with a very whitish pale blue. That's going to help. There we go. Color that. And then I'm going to blur it. Again, you don't have to go too crazy with this. You're not even going to see it in the end. Now I want to add a bit of blur to each subsequent lower level of cliffs here. So blur, Gaussian blur. Let's see what. Oh, we'll go with 8 for this lower one. That's fine. And then we want a slightly lower number. Oops. I don't know why I clicked that. And we'll go with 4 for that one. Yeah, that works. So next, what I want to do is add a layer beneath the uppermost layer. Actually, I don't think I need to add it for the effect I'm going to do. Filters, going with render, clouds, fog. Alright, so for the fog color, I want it kind of similar to what I already had. Sort of a really light whitish blue. Turbulence, you can kind of set it to whatever you want. Opacity doesn't matter, we can fiddle with that. There we go. Yeah, that's good. So, I want, let's see what 50 looks like for now. And basically what I want to do is now add an additional layer between the second and third layers of cliff. So, kind of the same thing. with the fog. We'll add more turbulence. Why not? We'll go crazy. There we go. Yeah, let's keep it at 100. And I think I want to up that a little bit to 60. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Sort of. Good enough, I should say. Alright. So, now we have our chasm and our fog. If we zoom in, it looks pretty good. We can blur the fog a little bit if you want. I wouldn't blur it too much, but just enough. There we go. Now, in RPG Maker, I know that it doesn't really give you very much control over how many graphical layers that you have, which is a big shame. I really wish it did. But if you're using software that's not RPG Maker, most of them will give you far more graphical layers to use, and a very nifty effect that you can do is make each of these fog layers animated. It could just be a if you make it a tileable fog layer, you can just set it to just drift at different speeds across the screen, and you'll get this really cool effect that just really it really pops and looks fantastic. All right. Oh, another thing that was requested is how to make like ramps up on cliffs. So you know what? Let's make a little ramp right here that goes from this level to this level. Let's say this might be too big. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Let me pull up one of these bad boys. There we go. And I want it on its own layer. There we go. So first thing I want to do is blend it in with this part of the cliff. We'll come back and fix this after. Now, making the ramp is really not too difficult. I'm just going to make a new blank layer, but I'm going to be using the clone tool to copy this texture. And basically, I'm just going to do that. That's all there is to it. Bam, you got it. Basically your ramp. If you can spend more time and make it look a little nicer. I did this incredibly fast, just because for the sake of speed. But all you gotta do is just take that texture and move it in diagonally across, and you can do it from the other side, and you'll have a ramp. Quick and easy. You know what? Let's make a ramp over here just for fun. There we go. There. Now we got ourselves another ramp right there. It doesn't look super well right here because I didn't really take the time to add the proper edges to it, but it is what it is. It's fine. It's serviceable. Okay, now let's move on. So next I'm going to add a bunch of these larger rocks here. Copy. And I'm going to put them on a new layer. And I'm going to use the paintbrush tool. Still using the clipboard paintbrush. It's automatically set the size. And we're just going to put these kind of all around. A little bit off screen as well. Kind of gives the illusion that this map moves, where we can't see it. There we go. Add some more. Add a bunch there. There we go. Now let's take these rocks and we'll do the same thing with them. We'll just kind of move them all over the place. There we go. Put a few more up here. Now we'll take the slightly smaller rocks and we'll just kind of touch things up a little bit. Now, as you can see, there's some graphical screwiness here, so you know what? We'll cover that up with a rock. Happy little accident. There we go. Whenever you find anything like this, that you made, you can feel free to take the time to fix it if you want. I'm not going to fix everything here, but just use that eraser tool. I'll do the trick for you. Add some more rocks. There we go. There, that's good enough. Now I'm going to merge those rocks down. I don't think I need anything else from there. There we go. Alright, don't need any more of these either. Don't think I need anything from the dungeon set. Oops, misclick there. Let's see, what do I want next? Oh, you know what? I will use something from the Medieval Plaguebringers tiles. As of this recording, this set has not been released. It's coming along quite well. Not quite done with it yet. So far, these are the finished tiles, and I just keep them all in one giant thing here. I want to use the trees and this grass. I've grown quite fond of it, and hopefully the set will be done sooner rather than later. I'm working on it, and you'll have access to all this stuff as well. Alright, so another layer. And paintbrush tool. Now I'm going to be using the grass that I just copied. And we're just going to kind of put that all over the place here. And just like the rock texture, we'll come back and use the eraser tool to get rid of it where it doesn't belong. I'm just a big fan of it. There we go. Alright. Obviously we don't want it in some of these spaces. Like, we don't want it here. So let's erase that. Go through here, erase that. Kind of touch it up here and there. I like it. Adds a bit of color, adds some texture. Erase it along the edges here. Having a little bit like on the side of the cliffs can be kind of cool. It looks a little bit like moss or something. You don't have to go too crazy with it. There we go. Good enough. Now, I like these trees, so I'm going to add some of these dead trees. We're way up here in the altitude. These trees are all nice and dead. Have some of the trees kind of poking over the edge here. Kind of breaks the, I don't know, kind of breaks the lines of the cliff a little bit. Some of these trees growing up on the sides here. I like this big gangly tree. Oops, let's copy the whole thing. There we go. I'll put this one over here. And I'll put this guy here. This one's off screen a bit. This one's gonna overshadow the bridge. Put that guy over there. Let's get one or two of these guys in there. So obviously there's some shadows that are part of the tiles. So you might want to be a little careful. Like this looks obviously a little odd. So you can either just kind of keep it away from the edge, or you can just manually erase the shadows to get whatever effect you want. Just on some of these smaller guys. There we are. There. And yeah, that's fine. I don't think there's anything else here I want to throw in. Well, maybe some of these mushrooms. Kind of dead looking mushrooms growing out of this dead grass up atop this mountain. There we go. You know, we'll throw in a few of these larger deadish grass clumps using the paintbrush tool. Yeah, that's good. I don't want it there. There we go. Oops, obviously I went overboard here. So let's erase that. Like I said, when you're doing it, you can take as much time with it and be as careful and meticulous as you'd like. I'm just trying to do this very quickly. Alright, that's good enough. Don't need any more of that. If I remember from the other one, I think I threw in some barrels or something from the, I think that was actually from the Warfare pack. Warfare tiles. Let's see, yeah, that was from here. And there's some depleted trees here that you could also use if you wanted to. And some kind of muddy texture that you can throw on top. Now let's just try throwing one of these trees in there somewhere. Let's see how that looks. It's kind of a blasted tree. I don't know. Yeah, it looks alright. That works. There we go. We'll cover up that little hideous part. Yeah, we'll throw one more up here. Kind of off screen. Oops, a little too far. There we go. Yeah, that's good. I don't think I had any of those in the original. Yeah, I think this was the bucket. Or barrel, rather. So, oops. You know what, before I do that, let's fix that up a little bit. And obviously I screwed up there, but you know what, that's fine. I'll put one there. You know what, maybe I can cover this up with another barrel or something. Ah! Yeah, someone put it on the edge. Why not? Nah, that's horrible. Never mind. Oh yeah, I had some of these shields as well. There we go. Yeah, something like that. We'll throw another one. Some adventurers came by, parked their shields in their random barrel right there for some reason. I don't know, maybe I can put the smashed urn on top and kind of cover this. Yeah, there we go. Somebody has a smashed urn on top of it, right there. Perfect. Like I said, there's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Alright, that's good enough. And that's more or less how I made the picture. Obviously it's not exactly the same, because, well, it just isn't. I messed up on the bridge a lot, but did my best to cover it up. One thing you could do to kind of make it look a little nicer, or a little cooler anyway, is add another layer of fog on top of everything, because fog makes everything look nicer. So render, clouds, fog. I just want a pure white one this time, and I don't want so much turbulence. Let's keep the turbulence low. Obviously that's, too much fog. And I don't want it literally everywhere. So I'm going to set my eraser tool to 500 and kind of erase it along the main path here. Wherever you want to stand out a bit. Just going to kind of click randomly as well. There. I want, more or less, I want the fog, on the peripherals, not so much in the center. There we go. Oh, one thing I forgot is you can manually add some shadow here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's merge these layers down a bit, or at least that layer, and make a new layer. Use the paintbrush tool. We're going to use, again, this feathered edged brush, and let's do size 100. You know what? That might be too small. Let's do 150. And we want black. So you can just kind of put a bit of shading or shadow, kind of wherever you think it might look nice. I'm just going to kind of do this quickly. It's not going to probably look super great. Not as great as if, you take some time to really think about where it should be, where light and shadow should be. I'm just going to kind of throw it out there for fun. Yeah, there we go. That's fine. Throw a little bit of shadow under there. Of course, you can use the eraser brush to fix it up a bit if you want. Now, I like to use it as an overlay. And then I like to blur the heck out of it. So let's go ahead and blur it. Yeah. So as you see, I set the layer mode to overlay. You can leave it as darken only or normal, and just adjust it very low to a low opacity. But I like the overlay and slightly higher opacity, so you can kind of see the difference that it makes. It adds a little bit of depth, and if you're taking your time and doing it properly, you can make some really nice depth effects. There we go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you make a map like this. The big takeaway here is let's see, where did I put them? The big takeaway here is to make a lot of these, a lot of different ones. Make all sorts of different shapes, sizes, and then use those to build larger cliffs, larger mountain ranges. Don't try to do it in the editor, even though you can. It just won't ever look as good, and it will actually take longer to do than if you just did it this way. Like, I did this, I don't even know how long this took, like about half an hour or something. And you can too. And you can make a much larger map very quickly and just get much better effects. And that's it. So I hope this was helpful to you, and let me know if you need any additional help. I will try to make some more tutorials for other subjects as well. Thank you very much.